So, Michelle,
Yeah,
I'm having an okay day.
that's good.
Well, you know all about it because uh, I can't not scream it from the hilltop after having so many bad days in a
Hmm.
row. In fact, did we record? We recorded last Wednesday, right? Or did we do Thursday? No, we did Wednesday. It was Wednesday. I remember now.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, the last time we recorded, when I was like toward the end of the show, I was like literally losing my train of thought so much I just like steered us to ending the show.
Hmm.
That was the one of the worst days I ever had being sick.
Wow.
That was the day that I had the insane, impossible indigestion and then the chills.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
and weird enough, and chills without fever, which I still am weirded out by.
It's really weird.
It's super weird. But also, that was the first time I ever had full body chills. I've had chills, but never like my whole body. I was like laying in bed shivering. It was really fucking scary.
Yeah, that's not
Uh,
fun.
yeah, it was a good time. But things have been gradually improving since then. And it was also funny because that like only like 2 days earlier or something, I kind of came out publicly and said like, hey, all of my friends, if you notice I'm not interacting so much, it's because I'm actually incredibly ill and have been kind of keeping it a secret. I don't know about secret. Like anybody who talked to me, I'd be like, I don't feel very well.
Hmm.
But you know, I felt bad because some people would like write to me and they'd be surprised that it would like take me a real, you know, it would take me days to get back to them, or like I would say I was gonna post something they sent me on Instagram and then it would be days of not
Yeah.
doing something as easy as posting something on Instagram. And it's because I was just laying on the couch because I was super sick. Because, uh, you know, without clinical data, it's very likely I had the thing.
Hmm.
I can't, I and the doctor that I, speak with, well, both of them, the two doctors, the one that's a friend and the one that's more of a professional acquaintance, uh, they're like, I don't know what else it would be, man. I mean, like they were like, it could be something neurological or something, but we would only assume that if there wasn't something going around that causes all of the issues you're having.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, the chills, that was like the final straw of like, yeah, it's the thing. Cause that's a part of the thing. So
Like for me, for you, the final straw would have been that you were like, "Oh, I guess I do have shortness of breath," and I was like,
you know what? Okay, no one ever properly defined shortness of breath, and I'm a bad person. When I started having horrible lethargy to the point where I could barely like get up and do stuff, I was like, I must be depressed and not working hard enough on my emotional health. Okay. And then when I got winded walking from the bathroom to the couch, I thought it was because I was fat from being depressed. Okay. But that's the truth.
It's
Okay. We're
just
being
all of a
honest.
sudden you were just like, "Wow, I just suddenly
That's
can't do this
how it
anymore."
works. You don't understand. You're skinny and very well adjusted. Oh, that's not fair for the people who are only listening via podcast. That
That's
expression you
okay.
made. Oh my god! But no, it's hard though. It's like there are certain symptoms of physical ailments that could easily be psychological. You know, that's why like that's a big thing. Like, hey, you know, I have Lyme disease. Do you?
Hmm.
It seems like I do, but you might not actually have Lyme disease. So, you know, and I've had plenty of battles with, you know, depression making me fatigued and making me unmotivated. But number one, it's been more than 10 years since it lasted more than like a day or two. That's number
Yeah.
one. Of course, in the lockdown, things were different, you know, because being isolated and stuff definitely made me more depressed more often. But still, it lasted so long that I was actually like wondering if I had like some like serious malaise, you know, some kind of like thing I needed to see a medical doctor to stop.
Hmm.
Um, but then, you know, the more it went on and the more I realized like, wow, I like can't even, well, you know, the big thing was my major infection was in my guts. So, which is a symptom of the thing, but it's also not a common symptom of the thing. You know, I mean, it's like something like about 60% of people get kind of the when you hear about the most, losing your
Mhm.
sense of taste, you know, respiratory infection, stuff like that. So I thought I had food poisoning, and a really, really, really bad case of food poisoning. And I still would have thought I had food poisoning if I hadn't had, now going on 5 weeks of residual exhaustion and headaches, and then those chills. That was the moment I was like, okay, this really can't be in my head anymore, because like
Mhm.
I was literally freezing cold even though I wasn't cold.
Yeah.
So but I you know, I want everyone to know, you know, I'm a big boy, so when I started having chills and shivering, I was positive I was dying. Like, I was positive that when I fell asleep I wasn't going to wake up. So I refused to take any medicine that made me drowsy, or my anxiety medicine, because
Oh.
I figured it would make me die easier. And I pulled Henwolf up into the bed with me, which she does not only does she not sleep in the bed with me, she doesn't like the bed very much because it doesn't have a very stable footing. She has to like figure out how to walk on it, because it like I have a pillow top and stuff. So she didn't like it very much, but she plopped down next to me, and I literally just like had my arm on Henwolf's back while she snored, and I put on Terminator 2 on the TV, and I was like, if I'm going to go out, I'm going out this way. I'm going out my way. Going out cuddling my best buddy dog and watching T2. God fucking damn it. So I had a long night. In fact, when I woke up the next day, the first thought I had was that I wanted to call you and be like, let's do another podcast. And I want to talk about exactly how awful that was. And then I realized that I was literally like too depleted in every way to
Oh.
try. I mean, like, I just was too depleted in every way. So, in fact, uh, yeah, I mean, I was so depleted I could barely talk about it just to a friend, let alone sit down and turn on a special light and connect the thing and put the microphone into the face and, you know, all that stuff. It was pretty difficult. So I don't know. I thought maybe, you know, maybe I should share what I went through, because maybe it's valuable.
Sure. Yeah.
And because I don't have a concept to talk about today. And I didn't want to just do another Michelle quiz yet. I want to find the right quiz before I put you through that again. Um, so, but you know, it's I wanted to talk about it because I did want to kind of put that out into the ether, to be accountable for the way I treated myself through being sick a lot of the time,
Mhm.
which was just to constantly doubt that I was sick and to constantly blame myself for the things I couldn't do because I was sick, which I don't think any of that is good or healthy.
No, probably not.
So, and I mean, I don't want, you know, people to, this show is for people who would like to know me a little bit more than they might just from like watching a movie, or listening to, you know, a more like show busy podcast. Like Weekly Spooky is more about like creating a show atmosphere, as to where this is a conversational atmosphere. But like, I've had problems with just kind of doubting myself, and most of the time in my life when I've had a general malaise, I just had to, one day I had to get up and be like, no more, I got to do something. And I couldn't do that, and I still can't
Mhm.
really. I'm Right now, it's a Wednesday that we're recording this. This is the third day that I've felt kind of better. And today was a big step up. Like, I've gotten more done before we recorded this at 2 p.m. than would get done on a normal day by myself.
Wow.
I mean, but my instinct is great. So once I'm done recording this, I'm resting the rest of the day, because I'm too afraid that
Yeah.
tomorrow I'll be like completely laid up on the couch, which will make me, you know, depressed again. And that was the
Mhm.
other thing that, and I've talked to some people who were definitely COVID long haulers, like 100% guaranteed.
Mhm.
And they said a lot of the same things. They were like, one of the hardest parts about going through this is that you feel better for 2 or 3 days and then you feel worse,
Mhm.
you know, but you're like 3 or 4 weeks out at least, and all of a sudden you're getting worse.
Yeah.
And that's really hard because most of the time, most of us, our experiences with illness are the flu and colds and, and injuries,
Mhm.
because I would consider, being injured is kind of like being sick. I mean, especially if you had like, when you had your shoulder surgery, it's like, I mean, you weren't literally sick, but you had to rest and recover and your
Right.
system was messed up. It's like being very sick, you're
Right.
recovering. So it's like, oh God. And oh yeah, and I still have brain fog, so I lost my train of thought a little bit just now.
Oh.
But no, but I'm not used to like having a flu and then the main symptoms of the flu being gone and then going like, hey, I'm sleeping a little bit better, I'm less congested. And then like after 3 days of that, it's like, oh, now I'm just more congested again. I don't
Mhm.
think I've ever had that happen to me, at
Mhm.
least not over the course of a month and a half.
Yeah, I just want to say also, like, not just the long haulers go through that with COVID. Like, I mean, in a shorter span, there are a lot of people who are like, "Oh, I'm feeling a lot better. I'm probably fine," and then they just like totally crash again.
Yeah, no, I've
Um,
heard about that as well.
yeah.
So and that's the thing that's been like the weirdest has been like when shortness of breath is a good example. I didn't understand that shortness of breath. It didn't click in my head that like me being winded when I did stuff with shortness of breath. I know that sounds silly now. It sounds silly to me.
Hmm.
But at the time I didn't make the connection. It just, I was
Yeah.
like, no, I'm winded because like I'm fatter than I was because of all the lockdown and eating junk food and I'm that, and then also I have like way less stamina because like I've been sick for a while, so I haven't been walking the dogs. I haven't been, I mean, I've been like taking the trash out is like the big moment of the day. In fact, I remember last Wednesday the day that I got really, really sick, we had a beautiful day out. It was like 66 degrees outside. And I went
Hmm.
out to the shed, which by the way, I paid off today. The shed is
Yay!
paid off.
Yay!
That's from my stimmy, which was $600 less than they said it would be when people were voting. So, but no, so I paid off my shed. But I went out to my shed because all my spring, summer, fall stuff is in there all winter. My
Hmm.
chairs and stuff like that. And I got out my favorite chair, which is this awesome 0G reclining chair for backyards. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna sit out. I'm gonna enjoy the smells. I'm gonna enjoy the sun. I'm gonna hang out with the dogs. And I literally like opened up the shed, pulled open the door, grabbed the chair, which is just a folding outdoor chair. It's
Hmm.
not much. It's like it's maybe a little. It's like as heavy as 2 beach chairs. It's heavy,
Okay.
but it's not insanely heavy because it is made out of like thick material. So
Hmm.
like I walk it to the thing, and I remember I set it down and opened it up, and then sat down and was like. I was just like, oh my God. Okay, we're done. It's I'm gonna sit on this for the rest of my life now. I'm gonna die. So
Wow.
yeah, but it all seems so obvious,
Hmm.
you know. But then there's also the element where it's like, what do you hear all day every day? Dry cough, dry cough, fatigue, body aches, fever. You hear those things, but then it's like also everything else too.
Hmm. Yeah.
Basically be everything. And like
Yeah.
I even had a guy on Facebook when I came out and said like, yeah, I probably had the thing, don't worry, it's been 3 weeks, I'm not giving it to anybody, like it's just whatever. And one guy said like, did you lose your sense of taste? And I said no. And he was like, then it wasn't COVID, you'd know if you had COVID because you'd lose your sense of taste. And then somebody commented, said it's 60% of people who get COVID have an effect on their olfactories. It's
Hmm.
not everybody at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, man, I mean, this it wasn't. I was only suspicious. I asked my mother's doctor because my doctor retired. I asked my mother's doctor, and he's like, sounds like it.
Yeah.
He didn't even sound that shocked either. He was like, nah, he probably just had that because it's kind of going around. I don't know if you heard. Um,
Yeah. I just like I just I'm surprised. like not surprised you didn't think it was that, but a little bit surprised because anytime anybody tells me they have anything, I just assume it's COVID because there's like literally nothing else going around right now because of all of like the like hygiene and stuff. The flu really isn't going around. Like there really like there's not much going around.
It
So,
really felt like food poisoning though, and I had just eaten something unusual that I don't
mhm.
normally eat. I'm being like dead
Yeah.
serious. Like
Yeah, no, I understand, but I do, yeah, but as soon as anybody feels anything, I just assume they have COVID. Like, so I
sure.
assumed you have COVID.
I guess I burnt out on that after like 8 months because I got sick to my stomach once before and assumed I
Mm-hmm.
had COVID, but that was like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
a long time back. So
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I didn't, go, oh, it's just food poisoning. Let me go and lick everybody at the grocery store. I did stay
Mm-hmm.
home and I canceled all of my social stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you really want to hang out with people a lot when you're crapping your brains out in pain, but I did, I did decide not to be around anybody except for Rachel, who is, my caregiver and who,
Mm-hmm.
let's be frank, probably gave it to me. When I want like something that costs $1,
Mm-hmm.
I just go like, I guess it's too much for the person you probably gave COVID to. But no, so yeah, it was a lot to deal with and a lot to like deal with emotionally, just kind of stopping the doubt of myself to go like, no, maybe you're actually sick and you got to listen to your body. Because it really is hard. Because for me, anytime I've ever been full of malaise, I've been like, well, then fuck this. I'm gonna go, for a walk every day until I start feeling stronger. Like you can't do that. It
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
work in this circumstance. It'll actually make you feel worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that was the other fun thing. So if we're gonna talk about this at length, which I suppose we are, um, and you're right, I think that it is smart to just assume anything going around is COVID. It makes all the sense in the world now. Like, I don't even think you're vaguely overreacting by saying that. I'm like, no, you're right. Why didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
I was so sick. But and the main awfulness was only about 3 days. But then everything just, oh my God, the headaches. And I had muscle aches, which I didn't think anything about because I'm just so friggin' lazy, stuck at home. I'm like, yeah, I groan when I get up. And then all of a sudden I was like, and then all of a sudden I'd realize after I did some stuff, I'd be like, shit. Like I have soreness and aches. God damn it. They
Mm-hmm.
they weren't like the chills or anything. They weren't like, oh my God, in my face. Just like the shortness of breath isn't like, you've heard how much I'm talking right now. I'm suffering from it right now. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
walking around and stuff, I get winded, but I can talk like this like all day long. And
Interesting.
occasionally I'll have to go, like it's
Mm-hmm.
not, granted, it's gotten better, but the last few weeks of shows while we've been talking, we've been just, pretending that I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
um, which is great. Well, no, I mean, it's not like it would have done any good to be like, hey guys, I don't feel very good.
It wouldn't have hurt anything though.
I just wanted to have fun because all day long was me going, I just need to eat a chicken sandwich and lay down. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not fun. It got old real quick. So yeah, yeah. So but yeah, so I would keep doubting, that I was actually sick, but then I would just get sicker and sicker. And I was like, dude, well, that's okay. Sicker and sicker is the wrong word. It would just keep lasting. That's really the big thing, is it
Mm-hmm.
just wouldn't go away.
Yeah.
It just stayed and stayed and stayed. And it's funny because the first 2 weeks, 2-ish weeks, I treated it kind of like fun. I was just like, well, I don't feel great, so I just gotta stay home. But at least I work from home. I was barely working, but I was like, at least I just already was gonna be home.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just be like, yeah, so I got some DoorDash and I got some Diet Cokes and I'm just gonna drink a lot of fluids and watch movies. And for like 2 weeks, I was just watching like 2 or 3 movies every night. And I was like, man, it's kind of nice. I mean, it sucks that I have to nap a lot during the day and stuff, but like I'm gonna be okay. And then after 3 weeks, it was just like, I hate existence. I
Mm-hmm.
hate naps. I hate going to bed. I hate
Mm-hmm.
sitting. Like I don't like any of this, and it's not fair.
Yeah.
So that became apparent very quickly, that it was becoming a lot less fun. It's like camp for the first couple weeks when you can carefree hang out. And I mean, I don't want, it's not like it was the biggest suffering of my life, but you may not know this from the show, but I'm a somewhat high energy person. I like to do things, and I do, and um having a general fatigue all day long, like from the moment you wake up being like, I am not tired, because we all have those, like, I'm just tired all day, exhausted. Like the moment I wake up, I'm like, how much can I get done before I take the nap at noon? How much can I get done before I take the nap at 4?
Mm-hmm.
It was awful. It was awful, and it was depressing. It was demoralizing. A couple of days of that, it's like, whatever, that's just what I need. But week upon week of that just being your life is just really unpleasant.
Yeah.
So, um, but you wouldn't know, Michelle, because COVID doesn't love you. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I know you want to believe that it loves you, but I don't think it loves you.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
So anyway, I don't know. I don't know if I have much more to say on the topic, but just that, yeah, it was just hard, just holding out, you know, waiting it out was really hard. Oh, that's the one other thing I want to say. The most frustrating thing was not, okay, I was about to say, was everybody telling me to talk to a doctor? That was not what was frustrating. Was talking to the doctor, because it always went the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether it was getting medical advice directly from a doctor or reading research about the illnesses, it was always the same.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be like, have you talked to a doctor? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, what do they say? They said to listen to my body and rest and drink fluids.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, oh my God, this new study came out that suggests maybe it's caused by this. And I'm like, great, that's amazing. And then I read it and it's like, so if that's the cause, make sure you rest and drink plenty of fluids. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and that happened multiple times too, where like different doctors were like, we're almost certain we figured out what causes these lingering symptoms. And then
Mm-hmm.
they'd all say like, and rest is the cure. And you're like, well, then what does it even matter? And that's what the doctor, both the doctors I talked to, when they were like, don't, well, they didn't say don't get tested for antibodies, but they were like, if you want,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's not, that test isn't very accurate and the prognosis will be the same.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
if it's negative, then we'll be like, well, you better rest and drink fluids and see what happens. And if the prognosis is positive, we'll be like, well, you better rest and drink fluids and stuff like that. In fact, my favorite was just the way he was just like, I know you're not feeling very well and you're tired all the time. So do you want to go to a place and sit down and have them draw your blood and then have to get back in the car and drive all the way back home? Or would you rather just sit at home and have something to eat, I was like, yes, the second option does sound better. I will give you that, sir. So, but it was very frustrating. And I mean, you've had to bear the brunt of it as one of my best friends, of me just saying like, oh my God, I found a thing. And it says to rest and drink fluid.
Yeah.
In fact, there are two leads on trying to get better, and they were
Mm-hmm.
both wishy-washy science. One was
Yeah.
taking vitamin D.
Mm-hmm.
I've been taking it for a week and a half now. Maybe it's helping. I got worse after I started it, but now I'm getting better and I'm still on it. So works the way vitamins work. You know, they it's the idea that they're an immediate cure all is the real problem. It's like you can't just
Mm-hmm.
start taking vitamin D and you're going to clear up in a week or two. It's like
Yeah.
you're supposed to take vitamins are supposed to be a part of your life.
Yeah.
That you consume them and it builds your immunities and it builds your whatevers and yada yadas. And sometimes shit just happens anyway. I was already on a spread of vitamins meant to contribute to immune support, and I'd been on them for the entire lockdown, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you could still get sick because life
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. I
But
mean,
yeah. So please.
I was just gonna say also this is a totally new virus, which means you don't have any immunity to it, and so you can't boost the immunity that you don't have. So yeah.
Yeah. So then the other option people were telling me about that they were saying works really well is getting IV injected vitamins. Some people have claimed that people with this syndrome, that when they get IV vitamins, they notice a difference like immediately. Like it's like as if the vitamins aren't making it to their system through their mouths for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I looked into it because I was like, you know what? Maybe no. It is really expensive. The nearest place is 25 to 35 minutes from me.
Mm-hmm.
It's $150 for a dose. And they recommend you
Wow.
do 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, I chose to just stay on my couch and watch TV and drink fluids. So,
Yeah.
but I will say, I mean, like, oh man, what a level of frustration to have the prognosis be the same no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah.
very frustrating. And it was hard to explain to people because they would just be trying to help. And I'd be like, I tried what you said and it just made me more mad. I just need to rest. But their hearts are all in the right place. They're like, I want to cure you. And I'm like, great. Thanks for nothing. It's not their fault. They just want to help. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
the hardest part about all this is being unable to be proactive about it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like, well, if you hop on a bus and go to this one specialist, you'll be able to knock it out. No, there's nothing like that. There's no, do this, do that, nothing. It's just
Mm-hmm.
hang out and rest, which I'm already bad at. Always have been bad at resting. Luckily that first week and a half, I like literally couldn't stay conscious when it was time for a nap. It would like, I would sit down on the couch and I'd be like, oh, it's 3:30. And then I'd wake up and like wipe the spit from my face and be like, I guess it's dinner time. Pew, 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 pew. So, yeah. I'm just now like my stomach is just now getting better fully because I spent a couple of days only eating like tuna fish and rice and crackers and like light canned soup.
Mm-hmm.
Life is so good. Oh, but you know what I'm doing tonight?
I don't know.
Because I can eat again without
Mm-hmm.
much issue. I am making a childhood classic meal, a meal that I used to eat as a kid all the time that I haven't had in like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, something like that. A lot of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's one of the rare meals that my father cooked.
Oh.
Because as I've said on this show before, there's nothing will make you think more about your past and your experiences than being locked in your house for the year. Uh, but no, my dad wasn't much of a cook, but he had 2 specialties that only he cooked. Although my mother started cooking this one because I asked her to, and it's not like it was difficult. It's not like my dad was like, I'm a biker, I don't really know how to cook or anything, but here's your filet mignon, with a rice pilaf. But my dad used to take hamburger and just make it into patties and douse it in teriyaki sauce,
Mm-hmm.
and then just cook it on the skillet and serve it with rice. And that was like that was one of my dad's like number one comfort meals / only meals he could make. Well,
Huh.
we were in New Hampshire, so it was like, you hungry? How about we go get a grinder? My dad didn't have that accent, but
Mm-hmm.
we'd go get grinders. So, which I highly recommend. Man, I wish I had a grinder right now.
Sorry.
I'll never have a grinder because my memory of them is probably inaccurate. So nothing will ever live up to the memory. Have you ever had a grinder?
No.
You spent some time in New England, right?
Not really. I mean, I
Good
have,
for
but
you.
not like enough to get like a grinder. Like
I never walked into like a gas station and said, "Give me a grinder."
exactly.
Uh,
Like when was that gonna happen?
my dad and I used to grind. Gas station grinders was like a thing, like a bonding thing he and I would do, because
Mm-hmm.
I would go see him in the summers in New Hampshire when I was a very little kid, like 5, 6, 7, 8, and we'd hop in his pickup truck and we would go out fishing. And one of the rules is you got to stop at one of those piddly, convenience mart gas stations, in the backwoods. You got to stop at one of those and get a grinder. You just gotta. Oh, well, but of course you're in New England, so you also got to stop at Dunkin's. Got to stop at Dunkin's, get yourself a coffee. But so I have a lot of good memories of sitting in Dad's pickup truck and eating grinders before we went fishing. And then he'd get really mad at me because I didn't want to touch the worms. They're gross. I still have not touched a worm as an adult.
Did I touch a worm recently? I had to move it. It was like on the driveway and I was like, go back.
See, I would go back inside and come back out with like 5 coat hangers I had straightened out and like easy. So I'm like 7.5 feet away from it. Earthworms are still one of my weird fears.
Yeah, they're kind of gross. I don't really like them at all.
Yeah.
I didn't even like them because they're good at breaking things down.
Like your hopes and dreams.
Yeah,
like a worm just knocks on your door and you open it and it's like all of your doubts, they're right. And then the worm just like puts on a Stetson hat and leaves. And you're like, oh, damn, worm's so good at breaking things down. I was just especially because we were using them as bait, so you have to like their guts are everywhere. I just no thanks. So my dad would have to bait my hook like the dainty flower I am. And that gradually would make him angrier and angrier. So that he had to bait I couldn't bait my own hook. But no, so yeah, there were grinders. But anyway, so Dad would make this just white rice and a friggin' beef patty with teriyaki sauce all over it, and it was very tasty. Because teriyaki sauce is tasty. So I'm gonna make that tonight because I feel like it, and because I have some ground meat that might go bad. So I should.
Yeah, you should do it.
The delicacy that I'm sorry, buddy. Chicano snuck under my desk while I wasn't looking, and I think I just kicked him in the face. Are you okay, bud? He doesn't seem too betrayed. I mean, he'll never trust me again, though.
Yeah.
But no. The other delicacy of my father's was scrambled eggs with sugar in them.
That's interesting.
I think that was to get children to eat scrambled eggs.
Maybe.
Like because I've loved eggs since I was a very little kid. I've always loved eggs. I think that my other siblings did not want to eat their eggs, so my dad would put sugar in them to make, kids want the eggs. Sugared eggs taste pretty good. Well, have you ever had egg sushi? Egg sushi? How have you never had egg sushi?
I'm not sure what you even mean when you say egg.
It's a little slab of egg on top of rice. Like it's like egg nigiri.
That's just egg on rice.
With a piece of seaweed tying it on. Yeah.
Really?
That's a type of sushi, a type of nigiri.
I don't know.
How do you not know that?
I've never ever even seen that before.
It's called tamago. Yeah, Japanese tamago.
Isn't that just a word for egg?
Yeah, tamago sushi.
Okay, but I still don't know. I mean, what? Why would? I'm
going to show you a picture.
Okay.
Listen to you with your phone not silenced during the show.
I didn't want to. I just got a redirect notice.
Yeah, click on it.
No, now my phone's making all sorts of sounds.
I don't understand why your phone is making sounds.
Okay, I've still never seen this before. So like, what did they scrambled the egg and then they made them a little strip thing?
Yeah, well, and they're prepared.
Yeah.
Okay. The full name is tamagoyaki. It's a type of Japanese omelet, which is made by rolling together several layers of fried egg. These are often prepared in rectangular omelet pan called a makiyakinabe. There are several types. It's made by combining eggs and sometimes sugar or soy sauce. Additionally, sake and mirin are used in some recipes. So my point was, before I realized that I was dealing with somebody who's completely and utterly uncultured, I thought you by law had to know everything Japanese. I don't understand how you didn't know
I'm
this.
still really confused, like
What are you confused by?
that this exists, because I've just never ever seen it
It's
anywhere.
very common when you order a platter of sushi to get that.
Okay, I've just never experienced
I'm
that
sure. Yeah,
before.
I believe that you've never seen it. I just am shocked that you've never seen it.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good.
I'm gonna.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Keep going. Keep
Oh,
going.
my point was just that it's sweetened, and when I
Mhm.
eat it, it reminds me of my father's scrambled eggs. That was the entire. You ruined it.
I'm sorry.
So yeah, what? You're gonna say something? Go on.
No, I
No, no,
wasn't.
defend yourself.
No, I'm just looking to see if I can even find that, because
Like on
fine.
DoorDash?
Yeah, it's fine. I'll do it later.
This is, I, and you call yourself a weeb.
Well,
You don't even know about tamayaki or whatever it's called.
I don't know.
Tamagoyaki.
Yeah.
But that's just that's the name. Generally call it tamago is what they generally call the
Just,
sushi, or tamago
just
sushi.
yeah, just eggs.
Oh, your laundry's done.
Yep.
So, yeah, you're missing out, man. It's pretty tasty. I mean, it's not my
I
favorite sushi by any stretch, but it's good.
I mean, I understand the concept of like egg on rice. I just didn't know somebody would just like put a piece of egg on rice and be like, it's sushi. And then we go, yay.
Listen, Japan has a lot of problems. Is this the one you want to start with?
This is the hill that I want to die on.